Kenneth Hartzler was born on April 17, 1946. His highest rank during his time in service was Petty Officer 3rd Class, which is equivalent to a corporal in the Army and is the first non-commissioned officer rank. Mr. Hartzler went straight to the Navy after high school. He didn't want to be drafted into the Army, so he decided he would join the Navy because it was a more desirable branch of the military to him. At least if he enlisted, he would be able to pick which branch he wanted to be in. After joining the Navy, Mr. Hartzler decided he wanted to be trained as a fire control technician. A fire control technician directs the fire of gun mounts with a computer. They also work on radars and sonar. Mr. Hartzler said that he mostly worked on fire control systems 56 and 64. These were systems that directed the fire of the 5-inch gun mounts. Mr. Hartzler explained that the hardest part of being in the military and Navy was knowing that he could be on leave for 30 days and afterwards he would have to go back. He says the most important thing about joining the military is to know that you are responsible to them no matter what, and you cannot quit like a regular job. After fire control school, Mr. Hartzler was sent to a Navy base. He explained that people did not like to be near people in service. They would move away from him in church and would not sit with him on the bus. They would try to stay as far away from him as possible. Mr. Hartzler said that he was hated so much that if he is in the Vietnam ceremony, he might not even raise his hand because of the time he was hated. Mr. Hartzler said someone in the military isn't always welcomed. After about a year, Kenneth was sent on his first cruise to Vietnam on the USS Hall. This was one of the 5 different ships that were newer and had more gun mounts aft than forward. He served 2 cruises on his ship, and afterwards he went on his 3rd cruise on the USS Rowan. Mr. Hartzler talked about 3 different types of shell firing formations that he would coordinate as a fire control operator. The first one was called harassment fire. This was firing shells in the jungle in a random pattern that would make it uncomfortable for anyone near the parts that the shells landed. The second one was called illumination. This type of fire was firing what they called star shells, and they would fire into an area they thought the Vietnamese were and would light magnesium flare that would light up the area. They also had what was called direct fire, which was when they got coordinates from someone and they would start firing in that direction. When Mr. Hartzler was off duty, he participated in something called the Armed Forces Institute. This was a way for soldiers of any branch to take courses while on cruises or tours. He did occasionally play card games to pass time, but according to him, there was not much better to do with your time than to take courses. Mr. Hartzler said the best part of his service was that Walt Disney made sure that any people of service got 2 free passes for Disneyland. Mr. Hartzler explained that the 5-inch gun mounts were so loud that a few years after he got out of service, he got ringing in his ears and had had it ever since. Any loud noise makes this ringing worse. He said that the sound of a 5-inch projectile coming out of the gun barrel at 2,200 miles per hour and the crack of the projectile breaking the sound barrier was excruciatingly loud. But he still says that if he has to tell a future generation one thing, it's that you need to support your country and the people fighting to protect it. Mr. Hartzler says that anyone that joins the service is saying that they're willing to give up their life for the people in the U.S., and the people in the U.S. should be thankful. Mr. Hartzler also explained that before he got his sea legs, he got seasick almost every day. According to him, it took about 6 months to get his sea legs and stopped getting nauseous every day. He also explained that sailors had a strap on their bed so that they wouldn't get thrown off their bed while the ship was rocking. Mr. Hartzler told a story of a man who didn't strap himself in during a storm and found himself with a broken leg. Mr. Hartzler explained that the radars and gun mounts would send a radar beam out and it would lock onto something about 15 miles away. The radar and computer deemed this target dangerous. They would generate a signal that basically told the gun mounts to aim and shoot in a certain direction. This was a very important feature if the bombers or aircrafts above were non-American or any forces that were allied with us, such as South Vietnam.